like if ignoring this person does more for your psyche than like combating, like confronting them about it, and like using your energy to explain to them why they're wrong when they should really just know that they're wrong anyway. Like that's totally fine. But
Mm-hmm.
like, and like you shouldn't feel obligated to have to correct anyone, anyone or everyone any day of the week because you know it is your prerogative, and just because they don't know how to make a space safe doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice your peace to give them that lesson if that's not what you want.
Welcome to BossLocks, and you're now listening to the next episode from our pilot series with today's episode featuring Christina Joy. Now, before I get into today's episode, I'd like to share that this Thursday, June 25th, is a networking event hosted by Inclusion. It's one I've been telling you about for the past 2 or 3 episodes. I really like what Inclusion has to offer to the world, and I actually have sent some jobs that I found on their site to a couple of my friends over the past couple of weeks. And, for those who are just now listening for the first time, Inclusion is an organization that has truly created a virtual community for diverse freelancers and remote professionals to find opportunities to work, learn, and basically just grow with each other. And that's honestly the type of thing that I found myself looking for more than ever these days. With everything that's going on and with us just coming off of Juneteenth weekend, I've really been thinking a lot about what it means to work with Black-owned businesses and the long-term impact of buying Black. Which actually brings me to today's special guest. I sat down with Christina via Zoom around the beginning of COVID-19 and got to learn a lot about her experience at one of the biggest HBCUs in America, her work with behavioral development in lower education schools, and how she started a magazine with nothing but basically a stapler and some regular 8.5 by 11 printer paper to support the Black business owners in the DMV area. I think you'll really find what she has to say interesting, so thank you for listening and welcome to episode 6, The Impact of Buying Black with Christina Joy. Hello everyone, I'm your host Walter Gaynor II, and I would like to welcome you to BossLocks. It is a show where we are redefining professionalism by proving that natural hair and professionalism do coexist. Now today I have the honor and privilege of speaking with Christina Joy. Christina, how are you doing today?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing pretty great. Now, for those who don't know, Christina Joy is an HBCU alum graduating from Howard with a degree in psychology, right? That's right, all right. And she's also the owner of Our Black Book magazine, where they highlight stories from Black businesses in the DMV area and serve as a resource for those who want to support minority-owned businesses. So I have a list of questions to ask you today. But to start off, what are 3 things that you can name that most people don't know about you?
I have I have a deep obsession with magazines.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, not just because I have one. Like before I had one, I've always had an obsession with magazines.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have a stack, 2 stacks of magazines.
Oh, really? Okay, what kind of snacks? I know I always like went in the grocery store, just like getting ready to check out. Like I'm always like checking out the covers, but I never end up like picking them up. What do you usually get?
I definitely love Essence, like Essence.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
I also like some smaller print Black women magazines, like Radiant Health magazine and Crown magazine. I've got a few. I usually get them at New Being Human. And, yeah, they're really dope. Like, people who I aspire to be like, you know?
Yeah. I feel like magazines are starting to kind of make a comeback more like the digital space. I have a friend here, Darius, who's starting up a magazine all about the millennial creatives and entrepreneurs in the Atlanta and Charlotte area. But yeah, I started seeing more people kind of come up with their own magazines. That's pretty cool.
Absolutely. I think magazines are definitely, I don't think they ever left personally, but I think
Yeah.
they're making a comeback also in the print space because people are printing magazines, they're just not printing them as frequently
Mm-hmm.
once did, except for like big brands
Right.
like things like that. But most, like, plenty of magazines are going quarterly, plenty of magazines are doing like bigger issues, but for less amounts of, for a longer period of time, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
instead of month to month, it's every 3 months.
Oh, kind of like on a quarterly basis.
So
Okay, cool.
seeing a lot more of that. I love books. So I mean, I think people kind of know that about me though, because I work in a bookstore, or I've worked at a bookstore.
Oh, cool.
Still do right now, but Corona, so I don't really have.
Right. Right.
But yeah, like I love, love, love. I
What's your favorite type of book to read? Like any
uh,
particular genre or author?
I kind of bounced around over
Mm-hmm.
my time reintroducing myself to reading,
Mm-hmm.
which has been a minute. Like I could definitely say at least 2017 is like when I really came back to books.
Oh yeah.
And I've read everything from like, memoirs to YA novels,
Mm-hmm.
adult, and we've got so much. I'll say this: we have so many more options now that it's kind of hard to choose. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's funny you said 2017 is when you got back. I feel like I like literally just got back into reading last year. Like I think Nipsey Hussle probably really motivated me. Like they started had coming out with these book lists, like these are all the books Nipsey Hussle recommended. I'm like, okay, yeah. So I started reading some business ones, but now I'm trying to get trying to find more like fiction based, or not even like necessarily fantasy, but something more just from someone's imagination. I'm gonna start getting into reading those more.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Sci-fi, black sci-fi is
Mm-hmm.
like I've read. I'm I've been reading this series, and I've only read the first book. There's only two books in the series. Um, about like post-apocalyptic Civil War era,
Oh, dang.
like that is like zombies.
Mm. Ooh,
Like,
man.
but instead of them being called zombies, they're called shamblers. Like
Oh, really? That's funny.
like this old, historic setting. Like literally right after the Civil War, like when the slaves were supposed to be free, instead
Mm-hmm.
the zombie apocalypse happened. so,
Oh, wow.
so kind of similar to what we're going through right now. It's not except
Yeah.
turning into zombies. But
Okay, so would you be the one to lead like the zombie revolution if everything really keeps going?
I you think you would be the one to lead the revolution, but in real life, like I got it. Let's just say I'm glad COVID isn't turning anyone into a zombie.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, this is written by a Black woman, and we're writing everything from zombie apocalypse novels to like the Hate You Give, which is like
Mm,
got turned into that movie a couple of years
right. Yeah,
ago.
actually, I need to read that book. My girlfriend read that book. She loved it. She absolutely loved it.
Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't hold a candle
Man.
to the movie. It's a like, or the movie doesn't hold a candle to the book. Like the book is really good.
Book is really good. Okay, I have to bump that up on my list. Me and my friend, we decided to start a book club. I'll be honest, I'm definitely holding them up. I'm definitely a lot slower to read them, but I mean, now that we're all quarantined, I'm going to jump back into it. So,
I
we'll have to,
know.
yeah, we'll have to plug you into that because we're trying to turn it into like a podcast as well, like a whole book club podcast, or inviting other people on just to share. So,
Sounds like fun.
cool. Yeah, stay tuned. We'll see how that happens.
Quarantine.
Right. All right. So, obsession with magazines, love books. Do you have one more? If not, it's cool, but.
You know, I never saw myself with locks as a child. Like, if you,
Really?
yeah, if you had asked me like when I was like 10 years old if I ever wanted to wear locks, like, you would never.
It'd be a no-no.
Like, I feel like people think like that, like when you have locks, you have like this kind of persona, like you've had that personality like your whole life.
Mhm.
Like, absolutely not. Like, this was a transition. Like, I was about the creamy crack in high school,
hmm
and I stopped it. I stopped it like my first year, like after I finished freshman year at Howard. Like, that's
Oh,
how long
really?
it was at Howard. Just one full year at Howard, and all of a sudden, what's a perm? Like,
Right.
all of a sudden, you're like, man, I don't need to straighten my hair. Like,
hmm
like, but like by the time you graduate, then you got locks. Like,
Oh, that's funny.
and then I got locks.
That's
So,
that HBCU experience.
I think most people don't know that. Is that like, unless you knew me from before I had locks, or like before college, you wouldn't think that like I would have ever had locks.
Dang.
I never had that person.
That's funny. So how would you say like your perspective towards natural hair like before, if you can remember like before compared to like now? Like what would you say like the big transition just in your mindset has been?
um, I think that like I didn't realize that I had equated like beauty with having straight long hair.
Mm.
So until I realized that like no, you can be beautiful with your Dookie braids and your
Mm-hmm.
straight backs and like just your fro, like you can be beautiful that way. I think that like until I went to Howard, I didn't see all that
Mm.
beauty from natural hair. Like, I'm from the suburbs, like like we was rocking straight hair, and then we was scrunching our hair with the white girls, like with the gel. It's just like
Mm.
so. We was not thinking about nobody's life. We were thinking about nobody's afro. Like,
Right. That was not happening.
that was not it. That was not it. Like, how could you straighten your hair the best
Mm.
was
Mm.
status quo. So until I got to Howard, and it's true, like the DMV in general, like everybody's natural down here. Like, and if you aren't natural, it's fine. Like, you have a weave, and that's okay too. But like everybody has their hairstyle instead of like we're all believing that we need to have straight hair. That's how it felt, at least. You know.
Yeah. I feel that. I know like grew up in Charleston, like people had locks, but you only really saw them in certain environments. But when I moved to Atlanta, it was like, wow, like everyone has not just like locks or fro or anything, but all different types of hairstyles. They style and customize it different ways. It's like so it was really like a whole new world that I didn't even know existed. Yeah. So moved to the DMV area. Where did you grow up?
Jersey.
Jersey.
Uh, little place called Islin, New Jersey, inside of Woodbridge Township, right in the middle of Central Jersey. Central Jersey,
Gotcha. Central Jersey.
yes, Central
Is
Jersey exists. And yeah, like I always call us the schmegular folks, like the regular schmegular folks. We're right
uh,
in Jersey, like you get up north, you start getting real bougie, and then if you get down south, it starts to get like sick. Like
really, it's like country and
yes, yes. Like
wow.
you don't know that unless you live in Jersey. You're like, what the fuck? Like, what is it?
Right.
It's
Yeah, I realize I don't know anything about Jersey except for Jersey Shore. So,
so segregated, especially particularly by socioeconomic status. Like
mm,
Like the regular folks really live all together in this one little patch. And then you go up north and it's like, oh, we think we live in New York. And I'm like,
Right.
from Jersey. Like,
Right. Yeah. So how
and
far
then
away are you from New York?
I'm like 30 minutes. Like, from
30
where I
minutes?
grew up, like, if you just kept driving on the parkway, you would get there in 30 minutes. But, like you're taking the train, probably, like, around the same amount of time, like, maybe 40 minutes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not, it's not far, like, from the city. Like,
Yeah. Okay, so how'd you end up in the DC area instead of like going to New York?
oh, I love DC. Like, I was never obsessed with New York.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I feel like growing up in New York shadow, like, I was just never caught up in the hype, and I was just like, I didn't go to New York until I was 16, like, for real, for real.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't like a big thing for me. Like, New York was
Mm-hmm.
there, and it's like, oh yeah, we listen to the radio stations. Like,
Oh, yeah. It just happened to be there. Like, okay, yeah,
yeah,
y'all got cool radio, but yeah, you know.
never hype on New York. So like when
Oh,
I moved
wow.
down here to go to Howard,
Mm-hmm.
I was like sold. Like,
Mm.
I was like, it's just enough like home. It's just close enough to home. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, it's not too far away. Like, but you know, it's like a city. DC is like a city suburb.
Mm.
You know, that's how I see it. Because
Gotcha.
you don't necessarily need a car. I
Mm-hmm.
like now. I just got a car, so like I like having a car because I'm from Jersey. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right,
I
yeah.
like being autonomous in that way, but I also like having the option to walk somewhere. I like having the option to take the train. You know, like,
Mm-hmm.
I like having all of these options. However, like in Jersey, you just don't get those options. Like,
True, yeah. I remember like in Charleston, like as soon as you get a car, you are free. Like until then, it's just like you just gotta call a friend, like, "Yo, what's happening? Let's do
yeah,
something," or "Mom." Yeah. Okay, cool. So you moved to DC to go to Howard. Did you know like from the get go, like, oh, I'm going to Howard. That's where I want to be.
I didn't know I was gonna go to Howard until my best friend he came first. So
Mm,
he's a year older than me. So
gotcha.
he went to Howard first, his friend, and he was like, "You'll love it down here." And I went to visit him, and he was right. So I was just like, that
Mm-hmm.
was the only school I applied to because
Oh
as
wow.
soon as I saw it, I was like, "Oh, this is me."
Gotcha. Oh, because you weren't even considering any other schools. You're just like, oh no, this call is.
I mean, like when you're from Jersey, like if you're not going out of state, you're going to Rutgers. Like,
Mm,
you know,
gotcha.
especially from my part of Jersey. So like everyone's like, yeah, I'm going to Rutgers. Yeah, I'm going to Rutgers. Yeah, I'm going to Rutgers. Like Rutgers is a big school. Like don't get like I'm not gonna shit on Rutgers because like Rutgers is a good school. It's a big school, but like
Mm-hmm.
I just could not see myself staying in Jersey the way it was.
Mm,
Like I just knew after having seen Howard, I was like, oh, I just need to come here.
right.
Like I see myself here. I see us here doing good things. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was just a no-brainer for me. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have nothing to go back to except my family and like friends. Like, but I
Mm-hmm.
talk to them.
Right. You can always go visit. Yeah.
Not right now because you know New Jersey's number 2 on the list. So
Oh, is it? Dang.
yes,
Oh, that makes sense. Right by New York. So yeah, that makes sense.
exactly. And look, I was like, look what being in New York shadow got us. The rain.
Yeah. Man. So going to the HBCU, I wish I went to one because I think that it would have really helped with maybe like in a like a confidence type of way. I think just going to HBCU and growing and learning with people who look like you instead of growing somewhere else is just does something else to your mentality. So yeah, I think well, what so you graduated with psychology major? Did you know like how long did it take you to really choose psychology compared to, I guess, something else?
That's a good question. Especially because I just spent so much time writing about it to get into grad school. And so when I had applied to Howard, I applied as a music business major.
Music business. Oh, okay, cool.
Because I knew I liked to sing.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that was like the only thing I was good at, in my opinion, at the time. And so I like did an audition, and like based on what they said on the website, I went to this audition and I sang a song, and she was like, "Well, this is the correct type of song. It says it's supposed to be an aria," and I was just like, "But it doesn't say that on the website." So, long story short, she told me I could like audition again because it was for classical voice, and because she just needed to hear my range. But I was just like, I just took that as a sign. I was like, you know what? Let me take this up for me. Like,
right.
so
Yeah.
and then I did a year as a PR major because I just felt like I needed to pick a major because I didn't want to be undecided, you know.
Right.
So I spent a year in the school C, and I was just like, oh, this is not it. Like,
not it.
Not it. Like, I do not want to do this at all. And
right.
and I say that now having a magazine, which is funny. Like,
I was about to say, yeah, it's funny because now you basically are doing PR for like
yeah,
hundreds of people.
Like, I don't know. I just couldn't do it on their terms. Like, I just could not do it.
Right.
It was so bad. So I went to like I ended up talking about it with my boyfriend at the time, and like, I don't know what I want to do. He was like, well, what do you like to do? I was like, well, like people always asking me for advice. Like people are always asking me for advice, or people are telling me things that like I didn't ask them to tell me, and they just tell me.
Right.
Like, they're comfortable enough to share things with me that I had no intention on hearing. Like, I didn't pry to get this information. Like, people just kind of spill things out.
Just walking down the street and be like, hey, I need to tell you something.
No, well, and then like, people always asking me for directions. I'm like, man, do I look like I know?
Oh, really?
At all times, like, half the time, I don't know where I'm going.
Right? Like, I'm from Jersey. I don't know.
First of all, don't do that. I've been down here almost 9 years. Don't do me.
That's cool though. I remember I took one psychology class because it was required for the whole liberal arts education, and then after that I was like really hooked. It's so fascinating, just kind of studying the mind and how just like human behavior as well. And then I ended up taking another one too as like a substitute for this other class. So I would say like that's something if I were to like go further in education, one of the subjects I would like to study is psychology.
Yeah, psychology was amazing at Howard. Like, that's how I got psychology after that conversation with my he kind of like, he was like, well, why not psychology? And I was like, all right, I'll try it out. Switched to psych. Made my minor in human development because that's what everybody else did for psych. For like in psych though, like a lot of people take psychology to like go into law, so then they'll have like a minor or like something else. Yeah, like a lot of people use psychology for other things, but I was using psychology because I wanted to be. Well, I didn't know what I wanted to be, but I knew that I liked people. So
right.
So
it's a great way to help people, especially now.
Yeah. Like, as soon as I got in psychology, like I took this class called Psych in the Black Experience at Howard, and it was just like amazing. It just shook my world. Like, I was just like, wow. Like,
what was it called?
Psychology and the Black Experience.
Ooh.
After A. Wade Boykin, one of the most renowned psychologist,
Mm-hmm.
Black psychologist,
What's his name?
A. Wade Boykin.
A-Way Boykins. I have to look him up.
Yeah, he's a developmental psychologist. He does research on teacher-student relationships with like Black children, like
Mm.
outcomes of Black children, and how to get Black children, uh, higher in the achievement gap, like
Mm-hmm.
how to close the achievement gap, and like if we should still be calling it an achievement gap, and like all these other things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so he's the goat. And so, but his class is just like, just shares like all of Black contributions of to psychology, and like particularly um like different like tests and like notions. Like the notion of microaggressions is a psychological term that's
Mm-hmm.
now been popularized, but like I had learned about it in undergrad, just like in learning about the Black psychologists that came before me, you're like,
Wow.
so it's just like these are all like
Wow. Okay.
Black people got really hip into Western psychology. Like we came in blazing, you know what I'm saying, and like
Man.
I came up with the words for what we were going through under an oppressed society, like people
Wow.
in society. So it's just like we have like our whole own branch of psychology that like apart from the stuff that you're learning in your regular Psych 101 class, like we have our own sector. Like
I never knew that. That's amazing. So these terms that like really end up sometimes making decisions for us have all been kind of introduced from Black people studying the field of psychology and doctors. Okay. And microaggressions, for I guess anyone listening who's not familiar with that term, can you break down what microaggressions are in, I guess, your own words?
so microaggressions are these little encounters that we have with usually with white people,
Mm-hmm.
or even people of other races who just may be ignorant to cultural practices or like um, social norms of African Americans. Like, so someone coming up to you and trying to touch your hair without your permission, that's a microaggression.
Mm.
Someone assuming that your hair smells like patchouli
Mm.
and incense because you
Yeah.
have that's
Right.
a microaggression. Like all those little things that you don't think it's like, should I call that out for being racist? Or
Mm-hmm.
I like, just go about my day? Those are microaggressions.
Right.
you know.
Right. Wow. Man, I didn't think they really categorize all of that under the microaggressions as well. I definitely know it often comes from like place of maybe not caring sometimes, and then also just like the ignorance along with it. But yeah, you're right. I like kind of using that. It's really captures a lot really under that term. Mm.
I mean, it's as innocent as it comes off, it becomes insidious. Like
Yeah.
ignorance is literally killing people. So
Right. True. Especially like depending on, let's say like someone reacts to that microaggression, then that could really ruin everything for them.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They don't think about
Yeah.
that because they don't
Right.
have. So
Mm. I guess that's the importance of calling it out, not just for you, but also to put in their head that, oh, this is something you need to start thinking of. Hmm.
yeah,
How do you, if you do experience it or if you've observed these in your experience, how do you maybe combat or confront microaggressions?
honestly, it kind of depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know we had like in our book club at Mahogany Books, one of the book clubs I mean book stores I worked at. We had a conversation about having to explain things to white people, and like, are we those type of Black people who want to explain things to white people, or do we not want to be bothered? And like, you can obviously be either one of those and be totally fine, like completely correct in your thinking.
Hmm.
So like, you don't necessarily have to correct the microaggression if it's hurting you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I don't know if that came out right, but like if ignoring this person does more for your psyche than like combating, like confronting them about it, and like using your energy to explain to them why they're wrong when they should really just know that they're wrong anyway. Like, that's totally fine. But
Hmm.
like, and like, you shouldn't feel obligated to have to correct anyone, anyone or everyone, any day of the week, because you know it is your prerogative, and just because they don't know how to make a space safe doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice your peace to give them that lesson if that's not what you want. Like, you shouldn't feel pressured to do that, you know?
All right. Gotcha. So, yeah, I think before I started to glitch up, I was hearing you say like it's really kind of your choice on how you respond to it because you're right. Like it really does take a lot of energy to confront, and if that's something that I guess you're not comfortable with, you're saying that maybe the best option for you is if you're able to just kind of move on past it, just depending on how you feel at that moment.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Nice.
It's not our job. Like, it's not
Mm,
our job to fix what they made wrong. Like,
right.
and some
That's
days
right.
it is our job. You know, some days you're like, let me teach you something, white person. Like, some days you do have that hat on, and you're just like, I want to tell somebody something. But like, not
Right.
every day's like that, and that's okay. It's like picking
Mm-hmm.
out like which slave movie we're gonna see this year. Like, you know, we don't have to watch all of them. Like, you can pick one, and that's it. Like,
True. True. All right. Well, I think that's actually like a good kind of transition into some of what you do now with working with kids with special needs and just working with like the behavioral side of things. And so, can you kind of explain what it is that you do?
I'm a one-on-one aide for a special needs kid at the elementary school. I work with a second grader. Um, I mostly manage his emotional outbursts.
Mm-hmm.
He's very sensitive, and he doesn't understand social cues. He doesn't understand um, personal space. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand not getting his way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he doesn't really have any regard for anyone else per se, but then at the same time will like really feel bad if he makes you upset. Like, it's very strange.
Right.
He has all this regard for like how you think of him, but he has no regard for his actual actions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very interesting. I don't
Yeah. I think that's really it's really cool what you do. I feel like a lot of schools really should, and maybe they do, but I know for a lot of instances, there, especially with Black students, there aren't a lot of people there to provide the perspective that sometimes these are just like behavioral things, or maybe this student actually needs a little bit more assistance with kind of growing in that sense, and they just kind of label all Black students as like problem children.
I'm You're right. I'm blessed because I work at a black founded charter school, like,
Oh wow,
yeah, like cultural immersion and everything. Like,
man, okay.
so very blessed, and like I feel like that's very indicative of where I live. Because DC is still very much so chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
V is very much so chocolate. So we look out for our own here. but that's not to say that DCPS is not trash. so, so, you know, but at the same time, there's still a lot more Black teachers here, and there's
Mm-hmm.
Black people looking out for the Black kids that are here. You know,
Mm.
whereas many places it's quite the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Like there may be a lot of Black students, but not any Black teachers. Like I don't really see that here. But there are cases of that here, but I don't really see that here, and especially within the schools that I've subbed at, or you know, school I work at now is kind of an anomaly, but still, like you know, there there's something good about being in a place where like these are all Black professionals, and we are looking at this boy as a human instead of
Mm-hmm.
statistic, instead of uh, an aggressive Black boy that
Mm-hmm.
can't get right. Like we're not looking at him like that at all because we know. Like I
Right.
can't tell you how many times the teachers have been like, "We know this is not what like we don't like we have the option to think twice about our kids
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like being at another school and you having to advocate for all the Black children on your by your lonesome."
Right. We're taking a quick break because I wanted to tell you about Inclusion, the company I mentioned at the beginning of the episode. So, Inclusion is a tech startup that provides a freelance marketplace, and they're building a job board for companies that want to hire diverse talent for remote positions. And they are hosting their first ever happy hour and virtual speed networking event on June 25th from 6 to 9 p.m. This event will allow you to connect with others one on one for at least 8 minutes, chat about you, the things you're doing, and really get to know the other person in the chat room. They also have a nice virtual lounge room where you can really connect with anyone and everyone who joins. And I like this event because I think this that now more than ever is the time to take advantage of these virtual events to connect with people from outside of your physical community. So if you're a freelancer, hiring manager, recruiter, business owner, or anyone who's looking for a job right now, this event is for you. Tickets are available now, so click the link. I added one to the description and sign up before the event is sold out. If you're unable to click the link, then you could visit our website, www.bosslocks.org. And in the show notes, I'll have a link and more information there, so you can sign up if you're interested. Thanks, and back to our show. Okay, so I know it's you got to go soon, so I want to ask you about your magazine. Um, yeah, so I think it's really cool that you really took kind of your love for magazines and you really created your own to really support Black businesses. What led you to make the decision and the step to really put that out there?
So basically, right after undergrad, um, really my senior year of Howard,
Mm-hmm.
really when things really popped off as far as like the Black Lives Matter movement. Like, it's the year that 2014 was the year that Ferguson happened, and then the Eric Gardner decision. And in the midst of that, you know, I'm a senior at Howard, and I'm trying to graduate. But
Yeah,
like
I remember that struggle.
at the same time, like we are like all too aware of like what's happening around the country, and so we're just kind of like, what are we supposed to do about this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time, though, we're also trying to graduate, so it was kind of hard to maintain momentum
Right.
in your final year at undergrad in like the greater movement out outside of school. So when the summer came afterwards, um, I had already kind of been on this buy black tip because when the Eric Garner decision happened, um, I was looking on the internet and I found Maggie Anderson, and Maggie Anderson um, bought black for an entire year with her family back in like 2009, and or maybe like, yeah, I think '09. And so she did a TED Talks, and I found that TED Talks, and I watched it, and it just changed my life. But she basically discusses how buying from having black businesses around black children reinforces the psychology that they can do anything when they grow up, that they can be a store owner, that they can be a doctor, that they can be, whomever they see in their community. I never saw a doctor growing up. I never saw a black doctor growing up. I only had Indian doctors. I never saw like many. I didn't really see black store ownership. You know what I mean? Like where I'm from, I didn't see any of that. I think I maybe heard of people owning things, but like it was never like yeah, people should own things, especially black people. Like that was not a thing. So like she said in her video, like that increasing black business ownership and supporting the black businesses would influx money into our communities and therefore, make our communities better, but also help the children who need jobs and not um, and need something to do other than hanging out, need a job, like, they're gonna work at so and so's business over there instead of the so and so's corner.
Right,
Like
right.
so like she basically put that all in perspective for me, how it's like this whole cycle, and I was just like, that makes all the sense. At least it made all the sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Made this whole like calendar thing like for February, like Black Business Challenge that I've been doing ever since. So like I post a business every day,
Mm-hmm.
my Instagram, and
Yeah, I think that's actually how I came across your profile. I think I saw. I think. I guess you featured someone, and I wish I remembered who it was in particular, but yeah, and it's like you really did it like every day, like this person, this person, this person. It was really cool. It was really cool. Yeah, there's like so many. I think it's so important to do these type of things because oftentimes you just don't know, I guess, who's out there to support.
absolutely. And I think that's half the battle is like knowing what there is out there, who there is to support, like, and where to buy it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like, is it easily accessible to me? Like, that's a big question. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, after the summer 2015, right after I graduated, the Charleston Nine happened. Charleston Nine really
Ooh.
shook me up. Like, I grew up in the church. I was
Yeah.
okay. So
Mm-hmm.
that really shook me up, and I took to the group me that we had started while we were still in undergrad. And I was like, what are we gonna do about this?
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. Like, what are we about to do about this? I'm not about to keep waking up to this shit every morning. Like,
Yeah.
you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so then we met up at a local business called Sankofa. It's a bookstore and cafe. Up here it's a black bookstore and cafe. And it's like right across the street from Howard. And we met up there for a few weeks, and we kind of just kept meeting, and we didn't know what exactly we wanted to do. We just like we wanted to do something for the community, and we just knew that coming together, like there would be an answer, and eventually there was an answer. And the first answer was a coupon book for Howard students, um, called The Black Book. And we printed it out at like the iLab on campus. Like
Mm-hmm.
we got some local black businesses to like honor some coupons. Like if somebody had brought in their coupon, and like they would honor it. Like, so we did that very quickly, and we passed them out on campus, and that was it. Like, we was like,
Wow.
yeah, like we did something.
Yeah, that's really cool though, especially like catering for like college students, because oftentimes, no one's got
No,
money. Yeah,
no,
right.
yeah. So we did that, and then some. Then like that same year, the next like in about a month was the Million Man March,
Mm,
and the Million Man March. It was the anniversary, so they were doing again, and somebody asked us if we would do like another version of the book, but for those people of the Million Man March, and we were like, it sounds like a great idea. So we ended up like this time, we had to get people to buy pages and like this is
hmm
like actual booklet. Like the first one was literally like printer paper stapled together.
Oh
But this one
yeah.
was
You gotta
was
start with
like
what you have.
yeah, exactly. But this was like we went to a printer and got it printed like in like a booklet, and it had like art in it. It had like poetry, and we got like maybe like 25 ads paid for in that one, maybe 30.
Nice.
So like yeah, and then we printed like 3,000 copies, and then we passed them out, and then we accepted donations, and that was the first Our Black book,
That's really cool.
and that was with my old organization, Society of Young Revolutionaries Incorporated. That's how we started. Like we started coming together, Sankofa, to going to the Million Man March, and then doing a whole bunch of other stuff in between then. But
That's really cool. That is really cool. Is your TED Talk coming soon?
not quite, not quite. I
Yeah.
gotta keep working on some things.
Hmm. So, what would you say to some people who, a lot of people think negatively about supporting Black businesses, or they kind of have expectations of getting things for free, or just like they'll kind of go above and beyond to call something out that like a mistake. They'll make it a whole big thing, like, yeah, this is why I don't support Black businesses. What would you say to these people who with that mindset?
I'd say um, what I always say. uh, it's the thing about it is that people forget that the Black businesses that they're often supporting are also small businesses, and that small businesses don't have the same advantages as a big box white corporation does.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for example, with bookstores, like go to any small Black-owned bookstore, they're going to sell books at market rate, like the retail price of the book. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
Amazon can sell things for 50% off and not care because they want to run out the competition. Because
Mm-hmm.
afford to run out the competition. You cannot compare an Amazon and a small Black-owned business and think that they're on equal playing fields. That is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely unfair. And even if you have one bad experience with a Black-owned business, it does not account for every single Black-owned business that there ever was. And because of that bad experience, it has nothing to do with our race as well. It has absolutely nothing to do with our race. It has everything to do with that individual. So if you can't see that, like if you like stop and check yourself before you get mad at a Black business owner for the last Black business owner that you had an encounter with. Like that's BS.
Love that. Love that. That was like one of the first questions. Like when I first came across your profile, I was like, okay, one, I really want to interview her, and two, I want to ask her that question. So like that was a perfect way of like painting a picture of like not comparing. I really like that a lot actually. Just don't compare it to one other businesses, especially the big ones, Amazon, that have like billions of dollars and they could do whatever. They could put books out for free, I bet, and still make money somehow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. I know you have to go. So just a couple more questions. So I guess Howard kind of, well, let me actually get to the really good one. Or I guess, what advice would you give to someone who is interested in locking their hair?
Ah, so I say try it out first because I did that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I didn't necessarily plan on ever having locks until after I saw myself with faux locks,
Mm-hmm.
and the faux locks looked so good. I was like, ooh, well, I can do this, like
Right.
And especially since like I don't like doing my hair anyway, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people always
oh,
talk about how natural hair takes so much work, but like with locks, like that was actually one of the
by the
reasons I
day
got
I
them.
was
Because I was
like,
like,
to look in the
yeah,
mirror, say what's up, like
right, just roll out, already done. Boom.
don't nobody have time. I don't have
Right.
time to do my hair. So what makes you think that I was about to do it? Like,
Facts, facts.
so if
Nice.
like if you're on the fence, I would say try them out. If you're not on the fence, just go for it. Just go.
Mm-hmm.
Don't care about what nobody thinks. Don't care about what corporate America thinks. Fuck them. Like, get you a job that appreciates you. Okay.
Mm, that's right. Oh, I like that. Your job to appreciate you. All right, cool. Now, in regards to parents and children, especially like right now when a lot of people are quarantined and kids, like sometimes they don't even understand what's going on. So, like from, I guess what you do in your helping with children run behavioral type things, what would you recommend to parents um, in regards to just like how what to do with their kids or what type of things you should kind of teach them, help them understand? Like, what would your advice be? Be general, specific, anything.
Oh, I would definitely find things that are entertaining for the kids because kids need to be entertained like 24/7. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Like whether it be like something you do with your child, like I think you have to have time for stuff you actually do with your child and stuff that can give you a little bit of free time, but like also like not keep your child from. I mean, also keep your child from like jumping off the stairs and like doing something stupid. So like something like educational, but like in engaging on YouTube or whatever. Those can be cool. Or getting like ordering some puzzles, like practicing reading, like things like that, like flashcards, like stuff that's interactive. Um, Arts and crafts are always fun. Like coloring is very therapeutic. I know I've been coloring, so,
Oh yeah.
so I definitely say you can do some coloring with your kid, with like without your kid. Have your kid do the coloring. Like there are plenty of things to do, especially when you're entertaining a child. Like you're just entertaining yourself. Like you're really boring, but like you have to be like entertaining for a child, so you can.
Right. Cool. All right, so keeping them engaged, coloring. I'm gonna have to try coloring. I know there's a lot of like coloring book things online you could download and just kind of
Yeah, my
go
friend
at it.
just made a coloring book.
Oh
It's
yeah,
called. It's on her website, janecreates.com.
janecreates.com.
Go line on her. She'd be like, I know she just rebranded.
Is that
Yeah,
one of the black businesses you supported?
creates.com, JAIN creates.com.
Cool. Yeah, we'll see if we can put like the link to their site on the show, like the show notes too. Make it really easy for everyone. Go to the show notes when they're out. Get some coloring books. Nice. Okay. Cool. All right.
Oh yeah, and the principles. So like if you have like it's like it's not like a bound coloring book, like they're literally just pages that you can print out and it's like her dope design.
Oh, so you don't have to wait for like the mail to
Yeah,
come in.
exactly.
Just get them right then.
After you pay for it, you download it and you can print them out.
Okay, she made them real easy for us. Cool.
Exactly.
Nice. All right, last question, and this might be the toughest one so far. Are you ready? All right, what's the first thing you're going to do when it's safe to go back out into the world again?
Oh Lord. great question. I want to like, I don't like the summer, but like, I like it enough to want to go out and like sunbathe and go to the beach. Like, I would love to go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like
Oh,
go to the beach.
that'd be cool.
I
Yeah.
want to go to like a Cali beach. Like,
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea. Not just any beach, like Cali Beach. I think like after this, we've all kind of deserved to just do the most.
right?
Ready to get out.
Like,
Yes. All right, cool. Well, you might see me there too. Just get cool. All right. So thank you very much. How can we support you, follow you? Like yeah, first like how can we follow you? Like what's your social?
Mama Unk on Instagram. That's my IG handle, MAMA_ANKH. And our Black Book Mag is the magazine's Instagram handle. That's our OUR black, like blackity black book. Like, I read a book, and then mag, like MAG mag.
Cool. All right. And thank you very much. And also as like a thank you for coming on, we're gonna send you a mug, a little BossLocks mug. So afterwards.
You don't know that I love tea. Like,
Oh yeah, perfect.
adore. Do you see this? Like, I have all the bugs.
Oh, okay. Oh, I like that too. Oh, that's fancy. Okay, nice. All right, cool. So we'll have one to add to your collection. Wonderful. All
The
right,
bug
cool.
collection.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Walter.
Thank you all for listening to BossLocks, a show that is redefining professionalism and proving that natural hair and professionalism do coexist. I also want to thank everyone who's bought a shirt from us over the past couple of weeks. You know, every order both helps us grow in all sorts of areas, but also we're contributing to organizations that are fighting for justice, change, and economic empowerment for Black communities. So, there are a lot of organizations out there doing some amazing things. So in addition to supporting organizations who are doing things like helping protesters who've been arrested, we're working on identifying a few organizations that are doing some great things but not getting as much media attention. Every dollar counts, so thank you all for your contribution, and we'll keep you updated with production time on the shirts and where the proceeds are going. And if you enjoyed today's episode and want to learn more about Christina and the wonderful work that she's doing, please go check out our site by visiting www.bosslocks.org. There we'll have links in the description so you can find all of our socials and access her magazine. And while you're there, you can also sign up for our private newsletter and for Inclusion's virtual networking event happening this Thursday, June 25th. Once again, that is www.bosslocks.org. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.